So hello everyone. Thank you to the real superheroes. Now you're going to see a comic theme presentation, but Adi, Timo, you are the real heroes. So I'm Itay. I'm from the Fed Guild Management. And as you can see from this super quality Photoshop editing job that I did right here, not a graphic designer, not a superhero, and unfortunately no six-pack. Probably closer to this. But I do want to share about the day that I discovered a special kind of superpower, the power to promote technical tasks within the team. So it all started 2015. I was working at a company much smaller than Wix. I don't know if you can guess like the number of employees. Throw a number. Any number? 2 employees? No, not that small. There is no tech debt with 2 employees. So 50 developers, give or take. And I became a team lead for the first time. I didn't have a lot of experience, but I became a team lead anyway because this is how it goes in small companies. So here we are, extremely motivated, lots of ideas. I'm going to improve everything, like everything is going to be amazing, going to push a lot of technical initiatives and things are going to be great. Some examples of ideas that I had, legacy code. It's never good, right? We got to get rid of it. Why? I don't know, but we got to. It's old, it's boring, and we need to write everything from scratch because we know best. Generic infrastructure. So this is something that you got to have, even if you don't know why or you don't know what kind of generic infrastructure, but you got to have it. It's something you have. And also preparing for scale. Like, obviously, this will not reach like 1 billion users. I don't know if the company will ever get to a point where we need to support 1 billion users, but why not? It's a fun technical challenge, so let's do it. And same goes for things like upgrading versions and stuff. Why? Because reasons, okay? So we had all of that in mind, and the way that I started going is that we're just gonna start, we're gonna advance everything that we need in the technical backlog. Things are gonna be just amazing, everything will go smoothly. And before you know it, we're at a point where 100% tech debt removed. Okay, completed, done, everything is perfect, but also everything is kind of boring. And the only sad side I can think of is that there will never be a comics theme presentation about technology. So that would make me a little bit sad. Fast forward a few months later though, I can tell you that like, how are we doing? The slide here. I'm not sure if I made it a little bit too much obvious, but it wasn't doing great. I don't know if it's the black and white color, the fact that they're all depressed. I don't know what it is that gave it away, but I'm pretty sure that all of you kind of felt it. So basically, we couldn't really promote almost anything that we wanted. Like, first of all, things didn't get into the sprint. And even when they got into the sprint, they were the first tasks to get out of the sprint when we couldn't make the whole thing. So that was like really frustrating, really annoying, really challenging. And I started thinking, like, why are things going so bad? Why are things going so poorly in the technical debt aspect inside of things? And first, like my first thought was, maybe it's me. I'm a new team lead. I don't have a lot of experience. Maybe let's introspect and let's see that maybe this is the best hypothesis. But then I looked around and I saw that other teams are facing the same issues as well. And they have experienced team lead, they have senior developers all around, they have everything that you need in order to succeed. They succeed in delivering product, functionality and features and everything, but they never succeed in pushing enough technical stuff into the sprint and actually getting it done. So I understood that the answer cannot be that simple. It cannot just be me. It cannot just be something so clear and easy and simple, but it can be something that is simple in the world of comic book. And actually, I found out after small investigation that the issue was very, very simple. We had 2 supervillains. One, brand havoc. All of its purpose is just to destroy the brand of technical tasks. Okay, all they do is to tell our product managers, tell our business our biz dev that you know what, they're just doing it for the fun of it. The developers just want to play around, and these tasks don't mean anything. And ROI vanisher that eliminates any reason why we should ever push for such tasks and what would be the impact of actually getting it done. So if we have two fearsome enemies like supervillains that is really difficult to face, what can we do? Like what little old me can do? Maybe we should just surrender. Maybe we should just accept the rule of darkness and, you know, get used to the idea that no technical debt will be promoted in our metropolitan. Maybe, but this was not the answer that we chose. Like in any good comic book, we had a team of heroes that had a plan. And the plan started off with rebranding, okay? First, we're going to stop using the words technical debt. Debt has a very, very negative connotation, and it's not really what we're trying to do here, okay? We're not trying to fight off debt. It's not something that we necessarily accumulated, but it's something that we want to do and want to improve, okay? So we're going to start calling it technical roadmap, because it is a roadmap, like any other roadmap, like a product roadmap, like any other that you ever came across. It's going to have tasks, and these tasks are going to have meaningful impact on both our business and our product, okay? Even if not everybody are aware of it from the get-go. Second, in order to make that clear, we're going to make ROI clear again. So I just want to say that this presentation was written months ago and not like specific to the elections today, but it turned out to be the perfect timing that Wix Engineering Conference and the elections come out the same day. So this is not a political view. Don't go and pick one candidate or another. I really don't have any agenda, not in Israel, not in the US. But to make ROI clear is something that is like super crucial in order for people to understand why we need to promote our tasks, right? So if we're not sure about the ROI, we cannot promote such tasks. So in order to make it clearer, we're not just going to say that we want to create a generic infrastructure. What is it going to give me? What am I going to get out of it? So we need to explain exactly how much it's going to cost, obviously, but we also need to explain what will be the gain. What will we gain from this? So generic infrastructure, I can say that we have specific tasks that if I create this generic infrastructure are going to take me 2 days instead of taking me 2 weeks. Okay, that's an amazing piece of value that I can now pitch to whoever is making the decision if this goes in or not. And same goes for legacy code. I'm not just going to rewrite it for the fun of it, okay? I'm going to come to my product manager or to my manager or to decision makers regardless of their discipline, and I'm going to tell them in words that they understand. I'm going to tell them that we had 5 bugs in production over the last month, and all of them came from this area of bad code that was written long ago. And this area of code, if we just refactored it, we would have avoided these issues that actually we didn't even catch ourselves. It's preferably if you give examples of bugs that customers discovered and called our customer support, pissed off, or whatever it was. Okay, so like the more impact, the better. So these are just a couple of examples, and preparing for scale, I'm not going to prepare for an imaginary scale. I'm not going to prepare for like we're going to surpass whatever is, you know, the like Facebook or whatever, if I'm just a small startup and I'm just trying to tackle a challenge, a technical challenge, okay? I'm going to look at the company's growth plan, and every company should have a growth plan, and I'm going to see that, okay, today we are on X users, and tomorrow we want to be on 10X users, okay? So this is what I need to support. This is the scale that I need to support. So I'm going to connect it to the current situation. I'm going to say today we can support 5X. We want to be able to support 10X. Okay, we need to get it done. We need to do something. We need to make changes. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get to where a company wants to get. So these are all some examples. You can pick your own and you can play around with it. I think this is the most important part. Like, I think that it's really important, but it's really difficult to define clear ROIs. So I want to share with you my toolkit, the one that I'm working with for a long time, and that is proven itself to be really useful, at least to me. I know that this talk is like team lead versus tech debt because it's from the team lead perspective, me being a team lead for the first time in the previous company that I worked at. But especially I think that this part is extremely useful for everybody, for developers, for managers, doesn't matter. It's extremely useful for everybody. So my toolkit means that every item in the roadmap needs to have the following properties. Okay, it needs to have a clear definition of the value, and the value cannot be something that is in terms that only developers understand. Okay, it needs to be in terms that everybody can understand, because the decision makers are not always developers. So as in the examples I gave before, we need to understand what the generic infrastructure is going to do and all of the above. Tags. It sounds simple, and it is very, very simple, but it's also a very powerful tool. Okay, I'm going to label all of my tasks, the ones that are related to performance, the ones that are related to, I don't know, quality, UX, whatever it is that I'm trying to advance here. And now the most useful thing that you can do with it is whenever something comes up in your company and people start saying like, you know what, we have an issue with poor quality. We need to improve our quality. Well, guess who has a prepared list with things we can do in order to promote our quality, to improve our performance, to improve whatever it is that the current focus that we want to take lies. So it can be an opportunistic topic. It can be something that is like a company-wide vision, like a vision of the CTO, of the management. And if you are not sure what is their vision, just go ahead and ask, because they always have a clear vision of what they're trying to achieve. If not, there is a bigger problem in the company than trying to promote technical tasks. So this is something really, really useful in terms of tags. Expected impact rating. Say that something is going to improve performance is one thing, but to say how much is it going to improve performance, how much are our users going to feel it. I'm not just going to talk in terms of millisecond, I'm going to talk in terms of impact on users, okay? So the expected impact rating, I use 1 to 5, pick whatever works for you. Also very, very important. Sometimes I see it neglected a lot of times. Effort estimation, obviously we have to have effort estimation. I don't think anybody would create a roadmap without it, but I'm saying that sometimes the important thing here, in my opinion, is that sometimes in technical tasks, it's really a lot harder to understand what is going to be the effort that eventually we're going to need to invest in order to complete this task. Why? Because unlike product tasks, these tasks tend to be a lot different from one another. So there are a lot of unknowns usually in technical tasks. So what I like to do, it can be considered a foul in the pure agile methodology. I like to go with effort certainty rating. And I also use like 1 to 5, and I say, okay, this is a task that I'm really, really sure of the effort estimation. And in the other task, I can say that I'm really not sure at all. I have no clue if I'm right or wrong. And I give it an effort, like a certainty rating of 1. And if this is the case, usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a task that all of its purpose is going to be like a research or a POC or whatever, like a very, very small task, that all of its purpose is going to be to increase the effort certainty rating. Why is it important for me to increase the effort certainty rating in the beginning? Because before we start implementing the real thing, before I tell product or my manager or whoever that I'm going to need 2 weeks in order to accomplish this technical task, I want to be fairly sure that this is what it's going to take me. Okay, I don't want it to be like a common mistake that I see is that people say, oh, I think I can finish it in 2 weeks. And then, okay, one sprint goes by. Okay, how did you go? How are things going? Oh, it's going great. I actually gained a lot of progress, Okay, how much time do you need? Just 2 weeks. Okay, still 2 weeks. Okay, go ahead, try it again. And then it can go on again and again. And I've seen cases where people estimated in 2 weeks, it ended up being like 2 months, 3 months easy. So the main issue with that, other than the fact that you now invested a lot of time that you didn't plan on investing in something that maybe is not worth the impact, the biggest issue, in my opinion, is the broken trust. Like once you're at that point, you can no longer get the trust of the decision makers that next time when you tell them you're going to need a month or you're going to need 2 months, that they can rely on you and that this is really what they're expecting to pay for it. So all of these are my toolkit for clear ROI. Other than ROI, which is super critical, another important thing is to celebrate success. And celebrate success is something I was very, very, very cynical about. I can add even like 5 more varies before the cynical part. but I was very cynical about it for a very long time. And the reason is both because I'm a cynical person by nature, and also because I really didn't see the benefits of celebrating success other than like bragging. I always looked at it as bragging. You know, like you have the product manager that will send an email to the entire company about this amazing new functionality that we did, and the team, way to go everybody. And you're like looking at what it's a 2-day task that is like super easy. So what are you so celebrating? And it took me a lot of time to understand what are the benefits of celebrating success. So first of all, usually your team worked really hard on something. They deserve the recognition, they deserve the credit, they deserve the respect for everything that they did. Second, your managers, they deserve to know exactly what the team is working on and what you've accomplished, okay? They need this information. Also salespeople, they need it when they're talking to clients. They need to tell them what is the progress that is happening in your company. So it can also create a very, very good momentum for the future, and I will show an example of it very, very soon. So the list can go on and on and on about the benefits of celebrating success, but basically it's something that is super important. And now that I understand that it's so important, after years that I was like so cynical about it, I can still say that I'm very bad at it because I'm still cynical, but don't be me, like celebrate success, this is important. And I try, and I do better than I did before. Getting people on board. So we talked about it a bit before, but the critical thing to understand here, in my opinion, is that getting people on board is important for multiple reasons. If you try to promote technical tasks on your own, it can be very lonely, very challenging, and very problematic, okay? And the fact that you bring in other people to help you, they can bring ideas, and they can help you create the backlog, and they can help you promote it and push for it and all of that. But also, when you have a win, when you actually accomplish something amazing, then the accomplishment is for everybody. And this is the most fun accomplishment, right? When you can share it with your teammates. So this is another important reason why you should get everyone on board. And everyone means everyone. It means like the product manager, the analysts, the business people, all of them. So I talked a lot about theoretical stuff that could help. And I know it sounds nice in theory and all that, but how can we get it done in real life? You know, this is the challenging part. We all tried and we all failed. And this is actually like a list of things that I want to give that it took me around like 2 years in my first team to get to a point with a lot of trial and error that I found this to be successful for me. You know, feel free to take whatever it is that you want from this, create your own variations, all that. Feel free to tweak it as you please. So first of all, like the first reason I saw that technical tasks are not getting done is because even when they got into the sprint, our planning was so bad that we had to cut a lot of things from the sprint. There was no predictability. And the first things to cut, the easier things to cut, once you don't have a culture of promoting technical tasks, are the technical tasks, okay? There's nobody to fight for them other than you. So they get cut first. So the first thing I wanted to fix is our planning and predictability. So instead of trying to estimate 100% capacity for the sprint, we estimated 90-20. And I know that it sums up to like 110, not 100. I did like 5 units in high school. So this part is covered. So actually what we're trying to do here is to say, okay, I know that my effort estimation is not going to be accurate. I know that I'm going to have mistakes. That's okay. I'm going to give a hard commit for 90% of what I think I'm going to accomplish, okay? And 90%, usually I can get it done, okay? So this part is covered. And now I'm also planning for 20% extra nice to haves that I can complete if I have time for, okay, if I finished early. This is something that I found really, really useful for me for a lot better predictability. Other than that, I always allocate time for technical tasks. And this is something that is not the less 20%. It's not the nice to have, okay? It can be whatever percentage you want, but it needs to be consistent. Every sprint we have such tasks, and it needs to be spread across the entire sprint duration. It cannot be the tasks that are always happening at the end, because then guess what is going to get cut again? These tasks. So sometimes they will be the first one, sometimes in the middle, sometimes in the end. You can't always have them first, but it is important to spread them across. And sometimes we need dedicated sprints for big tasks. And I'm going to give an example. I'm going to try to make it really fast because I'm running out of time. So generic infrastructure, I talked about it a little bit before. You can say I'm building a generic infrastructure. When I first joined the team and became a team leader, we were given a roadmap for like 2 years or so of work. And I looked at it, and the team looked at it, and it was kind of repetitive. So what we decided to do is to come up with a generic infrastructure very similar to component isolation that happened in Wix, but in a less complex system, of course. We implemented it in 3 months, and then it created a new role in the organization. We didn't have this role before, a new role called professional services developer. If you don't know what it is, it's like people that know HTML, CSS, but not full stack developers, okay? Lower entry barrier, much easier to hire, cheaper to hire, and they could have worked a lot faster because of this infra than full stack developers working in a very, very complex system. So we did this isolation of a part that is constantly needed change and complex change. And this is something huge that we accomplished. By the time I left, we had 15 or 20 professional services developers in a company that had 0 prior to that. So this was a huge win for us and allowed us to focus on a lot more interesting and technical tasks and issues. Another thing, performance improvement. We did a huge refactor, reduced it from 300 milliseconds, the server side, from 300 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. And I'm not going to leave it at that. You remember the part about making sure the impact is in value, the value, the impact is in words that non-developers can understand. We A/B tested it. It increased the revenue by 8% or so. In a company that generates millions of dollars a month, this is a very, very big deal. So now we have a very huge win, okay? Something we worked on for 2 months or 3 months. 8% revenue is incredible. And now you can also use this as momentum for the next tasks that you want to accomplish because you have credit from the organization. So to sum up shortly, bad guys were defeated, the good guys won. You have these Marvel effects here. And this is how the Technical Justice League was formed. It's super easy to get into. You're all invited, no need for application. You're already in. Thank you.